Consequent to Operation Sindoor, India found itself isolated in the diplomatic world. Despite having acted in a very rational manner, why did India find itself, or rather, what is this magic wand that Pakistan holds that keeps it in the good books of the nations that matter? Despite being globally acknowledged as a hotbed of terrorism, harboring and providing shelter to the world's most known and banned terrorists as also terror organizations. And the oft repeated, almost cliched fact that Osama bin Laden was living in Pakistan right outside a cantonment, obviously with the consent of the Pakistan military. Several questions need to be answered to declutter this space. Why is that despite having a globally known policy of bleeding India by 1,000 cuts, Pakistan continues to have the backing of USA and China? Even though Pakistan's economy continues to be in doldrums, surviving on doles months after months, the global financial institutions like the World Bank and the ADB have been loaning out huge sums of money to keep her afloat. The final two nails in the coffin that have been hammered recently. One is the Financial Action Task Force, or the FATF as it is known, which removed Pakistan from the grey list. The grey list being a list of countries that are involved in money laundering and terror financing. And the other nail was the very recently conducted Shanghai Cooperation Organization, or the SCO's meeting, during which India's view that the final communique contain a mention of the Pahalgam attack was declined by Pakistan and supported by China, that it should not be included. So these all factors show that India is getting a bit isolated in the diplomatic world. A strategic construct is a web of factors that ultimately complete the entire picture. Two amongst this, as far as Pakistan are concerned, are the China Pakistan axis and the US Pakistan axis. Our podcast to declutter this strategic space will focus today on the China Pakistan axis, for which I invite my friend and colleague, Commodore Venugopal, to this podcast. Venu, I welcome you to the show. Before I shoot off my first question to you, and in order to set the basis of this discussion, let me delve a little bit on the history of China's relationship with Pakistan, ever since it came to being in 1949. Though Pakistan was late off the block in terms of recognizing China, it did so 2 years later. It was the first Muslim country to do so. It was only in the mid 60s that the Pakistan China started get closer. Initially, ties were limited to supporting each other in multilateral and diplomatic fora, and subsequently, the first visible support came in the 1965 Indo-Pak War, where China clearly supported Pakistan. Again, in the 71 conflict, Pakistan was not only supported by China, but China opposed the formation of Bangladesh. So these two are the basis of when the relationship started to get closer. And then during the late 80s and 90s, the relationship flourished. With this brief historical overview, we need to examine how this relationship progressed from the early days into a strategic alliance. What are China's interests in maintaining an all-weather relationship? How is China benefiting from this, considering the large amounts of investment that it has to do in Pakistan? On to the strategic alliance first. Venu.
Yeah, thank you, Kapil. See, there are a couple of issues that we need to look at when we see the progress of China-Pakistan strategic alliance. For that, there are 4 years which make uh, the progress significant. One is 1972, thereafter 1979, 1996, and 2015. I will examine each of these years to give a brief on what were the milestones which were achieved during that time. In 1972, China emerged as a major strategic ally in with Pakistan. Note that 1971 was the Indo-Pak War, and we liberated Bangladesh, thus uh, displaying it to South Asia our political will to make changes or to necessitate changes that is required in the geopolitical spectrum. Our aim was to liberate Bangladesh, and which we did. So probably 1971 was a year which made a lot of difference to, or rather impetus to the Chinese Pakistan relationship, in which in 1972 they formed, or rather they became strategic allies formally. Thereafter, in 1979, economic cooperation, technical cooperation, and military assistance was also included in the ties between China and Pakistan. This further graduated into a comprehensive cooperative partnership in 1996, which strengthened the bilateral ties further. Thereafter, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which was launched in 2015, became a big game changer in South Asia, where a major part of the Belt and Road Initiative was launched. It boosted infrastructure, energy, and trade development in Pakistan. So overall, if you see, there's been a convergence of strategic thinking or strategic objectives between the two countries, which formed or rather cemented these relations of deeper and deeper. Thus, the relations now became, as I said earlier, cemented to an all-weather strategic cooperation with focus on geopolitical consideration. Now, why I say geopolitical consideration? Geopolitical considerations is basically hinted at India's growth. It's a kind of an alliance between China and Pakistan to rather checkmate India, which was emerging as a strong power in South Asia. So with this 2015 Belt and Road Initiative, Pakistan benefited from the point of view of their economic interests, military cooperation, and between the two, there was a shared strategic interest, which, as I mentioned earlier, which was mostly India-centric, or rather, a kind of a cooperation or alliance intended to checkmate or to counter India's progress and India's development and India's stature as a major power in South Asia. So now I have touched upon all these factors briefly. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is one of the significant aspects which are relevant today. So can I ask Kapil, or rather, what are your views on the China-Pakistan economic relations with focus on China-Pakistan Economic Corridor?
So coming now to the economic relationship with Pakistan and focus on CPEC, China-Pakistan economic relations started over 2.5 decades ago, as you brought out, and has flourished thereafter. Pakistan's financial condition, which may have remained precarious all along, does not finds good support from China to rectify. China has extended several loans, foreign direct investments, and grants to Pakistan for the development of infrastructure and, more importantly, to enhance its military capability. China has nearly 62 billion worth of infrastructure projects that have been executed, are being executed, and will be executed in the future. Major portion of this amount is in the form of loans, FDI, grants, etc. Though this relationship has existed for over 2 decades, I would say that Pakistan China economic relation puts enormous fiscal pressure on Pakistan. It is estimated that as of today, 34% of its budget, of the 24-25 budget, or $3 billion, is the annual repayment that Pakistan has to make to China for these loans that have been extended to it. The inability of Pakistan's budget to afford such large payouts leads to economic pressure and trade off with development outside the CPEC. That is, any other developmental activities in Pakistan not included in the CPEC. Therefore, the flip side of this relationship is that China's leverage over Pakistan increases every year as these loans can't be repaid, and therefore they are either restructured or issued as fresh loans or renegotiated payment terms. Defense cooperation, as you brought out, is outside the ambit of these figures that I have given here. Coming to CPEC per se, as you brought out, CPEC basically is infrastructure development in Pakistan, which has not seen any real development ever since the colonial times that Pakistan got independence. So it includes development of roads, it includes port development, it includes upgrade of railways and the energy projects in terms of solar, gas, coal, hydropower, wind, etc., which are all designed to meet uh, Pakistan's energy shortfall. The benefits to Pakistan: upgrade of its poor infrastructure. No upgrade has taken place in real terms ever since when it got independence. Creation of road infrastructure in West Pakistan. West Pakistan has got a very hard terrain, and therefore there have been very little roads over there, which are now being developed, and it meets Pakistan's energy shortfall. China, on the other hand, has, I feel, greater benefits. It has strategic access to the Arabian Sea, and it has complete control over Gwadar port. It has already developed that port into a modern port, and the road connectivity is in progress. The aim is to move the energy resources by land from the Arabian Sea to China. Control over Pakistan's financial independence, contracts for Chinese infra companies. All the contracts are being given to Chinese infra companies, and the Chinese labor is also being brought to complete these projects. And substantial control over Pakistan's military and the government. To conclude, I would say that Pakistan and China enjoy a deep economic relationship, primarily anchored around the development in the CPEC. Pakistan benefits by transformation of its transport, energy, and industrial sectors. It creates jobs for Pakistanis. On the other hand, for China, it gets to loan out huge amounts of money for these projects, gets strategic access to the Arabian Sea, and it moves its energy via the land route rather than the sea route. Opening another front with India is another benefit for China. Can we now shift focus to the Pakistan China military cooperation? Could you throw some light on the current state and the future trajectory of China Pakistan defense cooperation?
Thank you, Kapil. You've explained the CPEC very lucidly, and I'm sure the audience would have benefited from the key aspects that you have brought out. Now, when we look at China-Pakistan defense cooperation, we got to see it under three verticals. First is the high-level cooperation, which involves visits of high-level military delegates between the two countries, a fair amount of exchange of training, rather Chinese instructors training their training in Pakistan, or the Pakistan officers and men getting trained in China. So there is a very high level of joint cooperation between the two countries. Second is the joint exercises. China and Pakistan conduct they mostly conduct the land-based and air-based exercises. Not much of sea-based as of now, primarily because Indian Ocean or Arabian Sea is the line of communication is too far as far as the Chinese home ports are concerned. Now, the arms transfers. China and Pakistan, they have a fair number of joint projects which involve co-production of military equipment, including fighter jets, frigates, and submarines. I will dwell on these, military cooperation, that is the arms transfer, a little more in detail. The main collaboration includes the development of J-17 fighter jets, which were used by Pakistan during Op Sindoor, construction of guided missile frigates, that is the Chinese Type 054 Alpha frigates. Four of them have been commissioned into the Chinese Navy. Next and most important are the transfer of or construction, a joint development of 8 Yuan class submarines with AIP facilities. They are referred to as Hangar class in the Pakistan, parlance. These submarines, four of them are being built in China and four of them are built in Pakistan shipyards. Out of the four built in China, two are already launched and they are, undergoing sea trials. Now, a little bit about Type 054 Alpha frigates. They have CM-302 surface-to-surface missiles, and they have two Yankee-80 SAM missiles and advanced ASW suite. These are four frigates, and they are fairly modern in construction, and they're fairly sophisticated and have a fair degree of stealth incorporated. The submarines are the 8 Hangar class submarines with, with AIP facilities. AIP, air independent propulsion, gives enhanced endurance to submarine which are dived. And so that means that the radii of operation of those submarines increase further, deeper into the Arabian Sea. Now the fighter jet JS-17, it'll be interesting to note that these are 4.5,
generation.
4.5 version of fighter aircraft. 4.5 they call it. And there are 156 of them, which has been handed over to the Pakistan Air Force. There's also a news in the media that China is transferring 30 to 40 J-35 Alpha stealth fighters. These are again fifth version of fighters. Fifth, or they say that fighter version 5.
Fifth generation.
That's right. Yeah, fifth generation fighter. And interestingly, they are being transferred at a 50% discount of its original value, which I find it a bit surprising why China is doing or transferring fifth generation fighter aircraft to Pakistan on a 50-degree discount. So that is where it stands. And most importantly, you also need to note that China and Pakistan, they conduct regular exercises. This notable exercise is the Shaheen series of exercise, Shaheen for the Air Force element. So when you look at it, in a sense, that China-Pakistan military cooperation is a multifaceted partnership that extends beyond arms transfers, encompassing strategic alignment, joint exercises, and a shared vision for regional security from their point of view. Yeah. Why they say regional security is primarily with India in mind. Yeah. So this is where the well-cemented military cooperation between between China and Pakistan as of now, it is progressing at a very fast rate. It is only increasing as the time goes by. Even after Op Sindoor, there has been a lot of deliberations between the Chinese and Pakistani sides regarding future acquisitions. As I mentioned, J-35 Alpha stealth fighters or the fifth generation fighters are one of them. More on the pipeline is what I understand. So this is where exactly the current state of cooperation between China and Pakistan goes, and what is the future trajectory as such. Now, couple, we always say that China and Pakistan maintain a all-weather relationship. Now, little looking a little more deeply into it, how does it benefit both of them mutually?
Yeah, okay. So it's really a all-weather relationship because in tough times, in good times, they have both had the best of relations, and I call it a mutual cooperation model. So it's a mutual cooperation model they are following, which has converted into an all-weather friendship. Let's talk first of China. The primary aim of China is to counterbalance India. So all this investment that is going on into Pakistan is meant to have a counter to India on the Western front by ensuring that Pakistan opens up a Western front, Western on our Western side. It divides our resources into two fronts. And though not directly involved, but I feel that there is some Pakistani involvement in ensuring that our relations with our neighbors soured over a period of time with Nepal, with Bangladesh, with Sri Lanka, with Maldives, which means that we need to open up more fronts, which means we need to divide our resources even further. Our relations with Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Maldives had been good, but in recent times they have gone the other way around. So these are things that we will need to attend to ensure that we don't divide our resources further. China gets a foothold in South Asia. It has never had any control over this area. So now it has got a foothold in South Asia. China has always been wary of the long logistic chain. I mentioned this that they need to transfer their energy by sea from the Malacca Strait, South China Sea route, which is very long, and Malacca being a choke point, China has always been wary of it. Now, with this kind of relationship that they have, they are they will be able to move their energy resources from the Arabian Sea into China mainland directly over the road. The CPEC connectivity to China could bring stability in the Xinjiang region, which is a troubled region as far as China is concerned. CPEC gives China an opportunity to give huge amounts of loans, grants, and thus tie up Pakistan's financial capabilities. As I mentioned, several Chinese companies are getting contracts to do these jobs in Pakistan, and whilst they earn revenue, Chinese workers get jobs in to complete these tasks. Apart from the economic aspect, as you brought out, the defense cooperation between China and Pakistan is unparalleled. They are the largest supplier of military hardware. Just hardware supplies, as you brought out, $10 billion for the Pakistan Navy, another $10 billion for the Pakistan Air Force, and several $1 million for the Pakistan Army. But on the flip side, Pakistan has benefited immensely too. The geopolitical support that is extended by China to Pakistan has enabled Pakistan to keep Kashmir alive in all international fora and multilateral organizations. In terms of infrastructure, of course, the CPEC, as I brought out earlier, has given a total makeover to the transportation, energy, industrial infrastructure in Pakistan. Chinese projects have opened up several job opportunities, though I treat this with a pinch of salt. China ensures that the workers come from Pakistan. So, how many Chinese Pakistani workers are being given jobs? One cannot say. Pakistani military has been strengthened by the supply of hardware, training, joint exercises, technology transfer, etc., of which you have given several examples. All in all, the friendship has benefited both countries to achieve their national aims, I would tend to believe that whilst tangible benefits extend and weigh more for Pakistan, there are more intangibles for China in this relationship. That is as far as their relationship is concerned, and why it is an all weather friendship. I call it the mutual cooperation model. Despite the all weather friendship framework of cooperation between the two countries, China's unwavering diplomatic support to Pakistan, it has never shown any military intent in intervening in any conflict situation that may have developed between India and Pakistan, may it be the 65, 71, 99, or recently. They have given support in the diplomatic world, but not intervened militarily. We being Navy men, it would be interesting to know your insight, Venu, into what is the likely Chinese position in a future India India Pakistan conflict that may extend into the maritime domain. Venu.
Firstly, when an Indo-Pak conflict extend to the maritime domain would entail that it is a full-scale war. So, with that as the background, I will briefly answer your question. From the maritime domain point of view, I would not like to comment on the Army or the Air Force part. I will restrict my canvas to the naval part. That's the maritime domain. In my view, China directly intervening in the India-Pak conflict in maritime domain is very, very low. Primarily, why I say that? Approximately 80% of Chinese imported crude oil passes through the Indian Ocean. This includes oil from Middle East, Africa, and other regions, making Indian Ocean a crucial waterway for China's energy security. Any Chinese intervention will result in their tankers getting targeted. Now, this is a geopolitical decision whether to target tankers or not. It, by what I mean to say is that targeting means I am not saying that we're going to go for an all-out tanker war or something like that, because it is a very deliberate decision from the political establishment to target China or Chinese tankers in the event of their direct intervention in an Indo-Pak war. So it will be a calculated decision, but more than that, the very presence of Indian ships and aircraft in the region will be a deterrence value for the Chinese, who have to transit the long expanse of Indian Ocean to reach the Chinese home ports. And moreover, another point that we need to note is that geographically, India is so well placed that Chinese Navy directly intervening in Indian Ocean seems to be a very very low probability, at least for the immediate future. Why? It's because the in order to enter into Indian Ocean, the Chinese Navy have to pass through 4 straits. I'm talking about straits or choke points, they're called. The Strait of Malacca, the Strait of Lombok, the Strait of Sunda, and the Makassar Strait. So, with an extensive air surveillance capability of Indian Navy, any unit coming out of these straits can be easily detected, tracked right through their transit into the Indian Ocean. So the question of Chinese, venturing out into the Indian Ocean through these straits is very remote, at least for now. Okay, let us imagine a state where China expands its navy further. That means China probably tries to, have more assets to their South Sea fleet and make it an Indian Ocean fleet. Then can they do it? Even then, I doubt very much, primarily because there are no credible Chinese bases in Indian Ocean. The nearest base across Indian Ocean when they come into the Red Sea is at Djibouti. But Djibouti is also more of a a small logistics base. With as of now, the base is being developed considerably to accommodate larger ships of the size of frigates and destroyers, which operate in the Indian Ocean. So, in the absence of forward operating bases, Chinese Navy would find it immensely difficult to maintain a continuous presence in Indian Ocean to support Indo-Pak conflict, which is, I would say, which is spilling over into the maritime domain. Another point to note is that uh, any Chinese ship operating in the Indian Ocean would always require air support. Even that is not available as of now for the Chinese because there are no Chinese bases, as I mentioned earlier. And all these ships would be easy targets of Indian Air Force planes operating from our air bases, from our surface ships and submarines as well. Now the question is, can the Chinese probably send a submarine to support the war effort in the Indo-Pak conflict? Well, a submarine can assistance of Chinese Navy are capable of operating in the Arabian Sea, but maximum they can provide would be probably they can give intelligence inputs,
Intelligence.
or for that matter, reconnaissance or getting the surface picture, which could be of assistance to the Pak Navy. For them also, directly involving in a conflict in maritime domain looks very remote to me. Now, what else can China do? China can provide intelligence through their satellites. They can provide logistics support. They can replenish essential ammunition required for their ships because, as I mentioned earlier, there are 4 frigates of theirs which are Chinese built and obviously will be having Chinese ammunition. And they can also provide personnel, specialized personnel to help them in their operations room or in their planning sections to support the strategic aim of their navy, even if the navy has a strategic aim as such. And also another point that we need to note is that Pakistan navy revolves around the concept of sea denial. So for them, operating deep into the Arabian Sea is can be ruled out further because of the credible presence of our surface forces and our submarines. So, all in all, when I sum up, I will say that a Chinese Navy will have a very little role to play, or rather a negligible role in an Indo-Pak war, which is spilling into the maritime domain, considering the present circumstances. What happens 20 years from now or 10 years from now is very difficult to say. It all depends upon how Chinese are able to mobilize their resources, enter into deeper relationship with countries in the Indian Ocean region, and probably make or construct bases in the Indian Ocean region. This construction of bases and all that is a geopolitical issue. It is not that easy as China wants to construct a base in Sri Lanka. They cannot. It's a decision of the government of Sri Lanka. A lot of people might say that Hambantota is one place where Chinese. Yes, Hambantota is a commercial facility.
No, not just that.
It's a dock which has been the terminal has been built with the Chinese assistance.
Yeah. And Hambantota is a port which can be used in peacetime.
It's a Chinese.
It's being used in peacetime. It may not be so in wartime.
That's right. It can be used in peacetime.
Yeah.
Yeah. And moreover, if it is used in wartime, India has all the right to carry out attack on the base. It is just about
very true.
South India.
Very true.
And destroy that, or in Trump's words, obliterate that particular base. So, Chinese Navy's involvement in any kind of Indo-Pak conflict, in brief, I will rule it out for the time being, or at least for the foreseeable future.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much, Venu, for providing an insight into the Pakistan-China axis and what would happen in a maritime scenario in a future conflict. How has it benefited both the nations, and what is the Pakistan, has huge support, because of which Pakistan has huge support in the diplomatic world. As I mentioned in the beginning, China-Pakistan axis is one such pillar of Pakistan's diplomatic engagement. The other pillar is the Pakistan US relationship, which we shall attempt to declutter in our next episode. Thank you very much, Venu. We'll meet again
Thank you, Kapil.
for
Thank
the.
you, Kapil. It's nice discussing these issues.
Yeah.